Sugar seems simple when we see it on a store shelf, but getting that sugar there requires an enormous global effort. Every day, farmers, factories, shipping companies, and retailers coordinate across continents to grow, process, transport, and distribute millions of tons of sugar. From tropical sugarcane fields to supermarket aisles worldwide, this supply chain is a massive logistical operation. Understanding it reveals just how much coordination is needed to keep one of the world's most common ingredients constantly stocked. Today, we will talk about the massive coordination needed to stock sugar worldwide. So before we start, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. 1. Introduction: a global supply chain behind a simple ingredient. Sugar is one of the most common ingredients in the modern world. It is found in countless products, from baked goods and beverages to medicines and packaged foods. Yet despite its everyday presence on supermarket shelves, very few people realize the enormous global coordination required to keep sugar continuously available. Behind every spoonful of sugar lies a vast network of farmers, processors, shipping companies, governments, and retailers working together across continents. The global sugar supply chain involves agricultural planning, industrial processing, transportation logistics, international trade policies, and retail distribution. Millions of tons of sugar move through this network each year, ensuring that homes, restaurants, and industries around the world remain stocked. The coordination required is complex because sugar production occurs mainly in tropical and subtropical regions, while demand exists everywhere. As a result, the sugar market depends on careful planning, large-scale infrastructure, and constant communication between producers and consumers across the globe. 2. Sugar production: the agricultural foundation. The coordination required to stock sugar worldwide begins with agriculture. Sugar primarily comes from two crops: sugarcane and sugar beet. Sugarcane grows best in tropical climates such as those found in countries like Brazil, India, and Thailand. On the other hand, sugar beet thrives in temperate climates, making countries like Germany, France, and United States major producers. Farmers must plan their planting seasons carefully because sugar crops require months to grow and are heavily influenced by weather conditions, rainfall patterns, and soil quality. Agricultural planning involves predicting global demand years in advance, since planting decisions directly influence future supply levels. Governments, agricultural organizations, and commodity analysts monitor production forecasts and market trends to guide farmers. If too much sugar is produced, prices can collapse, harming farmers. If too little is produced, shortages and price spikes can occur. Therefore, global sugar supply relies on coordinated farming practices, investment in irrigation and fertilizers, and research into crop varieties that can resist disease and climate challenges. 3. Harvesting and initial processing. Once sugar crops are mature, another coordinated phase begins: harvesting and processing. Sugarcane must be processed very quickly after it is cut, because the sucrose inside the plant begins to degrade within hours. This means that sugar mills must operate close to plantations and coordinate tightly with harvesting teams. In large producing nations such as Brazil and India, harvesting often involves a mix of manual labor and heavy machinery. Trucks or tractors transport freshly cut cane directly to processing facilities where it is crushed to extract juice. The juice is then purified, evaporated, and crystallized to form raw sugar. Sugar beet processing follows a similar but slightly different procedure involving slicing the beets and extracting sugar through diffusion. The scale of these operations is enormous. Major mills process thousands of tons of crops every day during the harvest season. This stage requires careful coordination of labor, machinery maintenance, energy supply, and quality control. If any step fails, large portions of the harvest can be lost, which would disrupt the global sugar supply. 4. Refining and industrial manufacturing. After raw sugar is produced, it typically undergoes refining before reaching consumers. Refining removes impurities, and produces the white granulated sugar commonly used in households and food manufacturing. Refineries operate in many parts of the world, often located near major ports or population centers to simplify distribution. Raw sugar may travel thousands of kilometers before reaching a refinery, especially when it is exported from large producing nations. Inside a refinery, sugar crystals are dissolved, filtered, decolorized, and recrystallized to achieve the desired purity and texture. Industrial-grade sugar is then packaged into different forms, such as granulated sugar, powdered sugar, or liquid syrups used by beverage manufacturers and food companies. Large multinational food corporations depend on consistent sugar quality and supply, which means refineries must coordinate closely with agricultural producers and logistics providers. Any disruption in refining capacity, whether from equipment failures, labor shortages, or energy problems, can ripple across global food industries. 5. Global transportation and shipping networks. One of the most complex aspects of stocking sugar worldwide is transportation. Because sugar production is concentrated in certain regions, while consumption is global, the commodity must travel through international shipping networks. Bulk cargo ships transport raw sugar across oceans, while railways and trucks distribute refined sugar within countries. Major exporting nations, such as Brazil and Thailand, send millions of tons of sugar to importing regions, including China, Indonesia, and parts of Europe. Ports must handle large storage facilities and specialized loading equipment to manage these shipments efficiently. Shipping companies coordinate schedules months in advance to align with harvest cycles and refinery demand. Even minor delays, such as port congestion, labor strikes, or severe weather, can interrupt the flow of sugar and affect international prices. The logistics system must also maintain strict standards to protect sugar from contamination or moisture during transport. 6. Trade policies and international agreements. Another major factor in global sugar coordination involves trade regulations and government policies. Sugar is considered a strategic agricultural commodity in many countries, which means governments often regulate its production and trade. Import tariffs, export subsidies, and production quotas all influence how sugar moves around the world. For example, some nations support domestic farmers through subsidies to maintain stable agricultural sectors. International organizations, such as the World Trade Organization, play a role in negotiating trade rules that affect sugar markets. These policies can shape global supply chains significantly if a country suddenly changes its import tariffs or export restrictions. Global sugar prices may shift rapidly. As a result, traders, governments, and food manufacturers constantly monitor policy developments and economic indicators. Successful coordination requires balancing the interests of farmers, consumers, and international trade partners while ensuring reliable access to sugar supplies. 7. Retail distribution and consumer demand. After sugar has been refined and transported to importing countries, the final stage of coordination occurs within domestic distribution systems. Wholesalers purchase large quantities of sugar from refineries and distribute them to supermarkets, food processors, bakeries, and restaurants. Retail supply chains rely on forecasting models to predict consumer demand and ensure stores remain stocked without overproducing. Large grocery chains coordinate with suppliers weeks or months in advance to maintain inventory levels. Sugar is packaged in many sizes, from small household bags to massive industrial containers used by beverage companies and candy manufacturers. If you liked this video and would like to see more like it, please give it the thumbs up, leave a comment, and click the button to subscribe.